What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. Brought to you by BetParx, broadcasting live. Not from my typical studio. I'm actually in my wife's office today, as we had to get something done downstairs where my studio is, and it is currently unavailable. Be back there tomorrow. But I mean, this looks good. It looks good up here. Interesting weekend of baseball, interesting developments with the Phillies. We'll talk about all of them coming up here. Back from vacation, first day back, Ocean City, New Jersey, for the last week or so. I'll detail some of that coming up later on in the program. Was at Playland and saw one of our viewers, our listeners, at Playland in Ocean City, which was very cool. Anyway, you'll see down, if you're watching this right now, you'll see down there in the corner, not Philly with John Marks. You'll see down there in the corner, it says PHLY ranks what if. So what if? This is the only time in sports that we don't have actual games to discuss. With the All Star game and the Home Run Derby, but tonight, un gats, nada. So, like you kind of go into this week being like, all right, it's the dog days of summer. What are we going to talk about? Well, it's a great idea. What if? So Tyler's going to jump on here in a second because he leads us off tonight at 7 p.m. Leading off for PHLY is PHLY Phillies with Tyler Zulli. So Tyler, because I wasn't given a whole lot of information on this because I was away last week, not the network's fault, but each one of our shows, tonight it's the Phillies, tomorrow it's the 76ers, Eagles on Wednesday, Flyers on Thursday, and then a roundtable of the combined writers on Friday. Tell us what we're doing this week.
Yeah, so it is a what-if week, kind of take a retrospective look, alternate reality look, if you will, on some of the big moments in each beat's history. More times than not, we look at the negative and how do we spin it to a positive. But there are a couple positives that, you could retrospectively look back and say, what if this didn't happen? How did it shape the course of your franchise? And yeah, the Phillies will be first tonight. We'll be on at 7:00. We'll have the top 10 what ifs in Phillies history. And John, I got to be honest with you, it's the losingest franchise in the history of American sports. Just a little bit of a prelude, I guess. It's a lot of what ifs that ended up going in the wrong direction. So we'll have a show each day. We'll have a rank list each day. We'll kick things off, Sixers, Eagles, Flyers. And then on Friday, we're going to do a little bit of a roundtable to get the city's top 10 what if. So we picked a couple from each sport, and we got the top 10 from each team.
Oh, that's so cool. I used to always do, and this is before you'll remember this, but the Eagles are trying to acquire Mark Brunell from the Packers because he was a backup quarterback, and the Packers were dealing him. And it's like, okay, well, and the Eagles were very interested in trading for him. And then something happened, and they didn't want to give up the proper draft compensation, and he ends up getting traded to Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. I think that was in 1997. It was shortly before they drafted Donovan McNabb. And I always played that out because Brunell was a good quarterback. Donovan was a better quarterback, probably by at least a little bit, but Brunell was a good quarterback. So, if you would have traded for Mark Brunell, you would have never drafted Donovan McNabb because you would have been a better team. Sure. You would have already had your quarterback. What if the Eagles didn't draft Donovan McNabb? What would have happened to the franchise, right? It's crazy to think something before Andy Reid's time to where if they would have just said, hey, okay, we'll give you a third-round draft pick because that's what you're asking for, then you don't get Donovan McNabb. And what is Philadelphia and the Eagles in the last 25 years without number 5? Because he'll always love you. But it's a really, really fun topic. So I'm looking forward to it.
That Jag story is interesting too, because they're an expansion team and then they immediately find success. I think they go to the AFC Championship game in 99. They lose to the Titans. And funny story real quick about that Jags team. The Titans lost, the Jags lost 3 games all year, including the postseason. All 3 of them were to the Tennessee Titans. They went 14-2 and lost in the AFC Championship game to the Titans.
Wow. Yeah. They were Tom Coughlin. What was the Baselli was their Hall of Fame tackle.
Jimmy Smith,
Fred Taylor.
Yeah, it was a good team.
Yeah, it was a good team. Mark Brunell. All right, what ifs? I can't wait. And that's at 7 o'clock tonight. You have your normal, you'll do a video today at 1, and then you will be 7 o'clock tonight with the what if.
Yeah, so the videos for the Phillies this week are all going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be the first half grades. So we'll do starting pitching one day, we'll do the bullpen one day, we'll do the infield, the outfield. So pretty straightforward with not a lot of real baseball to talk about over the week. But yes, video today at 1 o'clock, and then the live show at 7.
Well, the big story with the Phillies, and they lose 2-3 to San Diego. I was really, really pleased that they won yesterday. So we're not going into the All-Star break with a sweep. Just like the Padres came into town and the Phillies got the better of them. The Phillies went into San Diego and the Padres got the better of them. Phils were able to win yesterday. Chris Sanchez gets the win. He pitched into the 8th inning, very efficient. It was only 86 pitches, and then Kirkland came in and wiggled out of a jam, and they were able to finish them off. So they win one. They're in first place by a half a game over the Mets. So all in all, a very successful first half. We'll talk about the first half and what we think about the second half tomorrow, because like we were just talking about, we got some time this week to talk about different things, and it's an hour-long show. But the big story was Chris Sanchez and Ranger Suarez not all-stars, and this is one of these cases where the baseball just pretty much screwed up and screwed over the Phillies and screwed over Ranger Suarez and Chris Sanchez. So Jacob Misiorowski, the Miz, as he's called, makes the All-Star team after just 5 starts. Now, he's a phenom. The kid already probably is unbelievable, and he's going to be unbelievable. It's a great story, and it's great for baseball. This kid is great for baseball. He's a rookie, 6'7". He's striking out Ohtani. He averages almost 100 miles an hour on his fastball. The problem is they just put him in an All-Star game after 5 starts, which is ridiculous. I mean, let's face it. Now, last year, Paul Skeens made the All-Star team. I remember talking about it at the time, and it was like, difference was he had 11 starts, 10 or 11 starts. I didn't have it down here on my notes, but he had 10 or 11 starts, which is double the amount. And what baseball is desperately trying to do is to get the young fan back and to really kind of reinvigorate itself. And I think they've done a really, really good job with the pitch count and changing the game, speeding it up, making it more attractive visibly to younger fans. But so that's the Miz makes the All-Star game because now he can go in and he can throw at 103 miles an hour against an All-Star. And does he strike him out? Does he not strike him out? This kid's unbelievable. So I understand baseball's perspective on it, and I think it's good. And you want to put him in after 5 starts? It's ridiculous. But I'm interested in seeing it. And doesn't that matter? Here's the problem with what baseball did. Because according to both pitchers, Ranger Suarez and Chris Sanchez, they offered them a spot in the All-Star game, but they would have had to agree to pitch in the All-Star game. Now, Chris Sanchez started yesterday. So could he have conceivably come in and been available on Wednesday? The game's on Tuesday, or is it Wednesday? Whatever it's Tuesday normally. So it's tonight the festivities, Tuesday's the game, and then Wednesday's an off game. So he would have been coming in and pitching or being available on short rest. He said no. Ranger Suarez said, hey, I want the rest. I'm not interested in pitching, right? So instead of saying, hey, we're going to make you an All-Star and then you're just going to decline, because the problem is the whole reasoning why they were offered All-Star spots was because other pitchers like Zach Wheeler said, sorry, short rest. I'm not going to put the second half of the season in jeopardy. When a lot of the pitchers that made the All-Star team were pitching yesterday, and there were more than a handful that were doing it, they're not going to pitch. So instead of making them an All-Star and then saying they declined, they just said, all right, well, then if you're not going to pitch, then we're not interested and we're going to move on. And that's how the Miz became an All-Star. But this cost Chris Sanchez what ends up being $150,000. But he had a $200,000 clause in his contract or incentive in his contract where if he made the All-Star game, $200,000. And not that Sanchez isn't making good money. He's not making Aaron Nola type money. He hasn't been in the big leagues for a long time. I don't know what his salary is this year. He signed that contract But I mean, like $200,000 is a lot of money, especially to a guy that hasn't been around for a long time. The Phillies threw him a bone and gave him $50,000 as a token of their appreciation, but still, $200,000. He's an all-star. Even if he wasn't offered an all-star spot right away, and then he was then offered because other guys declined, there's nobody in their right mind or that knows anything about baseball, and all the insiders, Jeff Passan, I saw Chris Rose put out a video about it as well. Chris Sanchez has allowed 14 earned runs over his past 10 starts. That's a 1.92 ERA. He's 8-2 with a 2.5 ERA at the break. And it's not like this is his first time. And it's like, oh, well, sometimes unless the Skeens and the Miz where you're phenoms, you slide under the radar. And it's then the next year, it's like, oh, well, like he's a really good pitcher. He deserves to make the All-Star team. He was a freaking All-Star last year. He made the All-Star team last year, and he somehow gets passed over, and then he's offered a spot. He says no. He pitched yesterday. What do you want him to do? So then you just say, all right, well, you're not an All-Star. This is the biggest bunch of crap. It's unbelievable. You make him an All-Star, and then he declines because he pitched yesterday. Oh, my God. It's infuriating. Now, Ranger Suarez, we know that he missed a bunch of starts to start the season. This dude's been the best pitcher in baseball, one of the best pitchers in baseball. So when you look at his numbers, he's not 4-1. He's not 3-1. He's not 4-2. This dude, when you look at his numbers and his win totals and his ERA and what he's done, he is just as good of a starter as anybody in baseball. And he says, I'm not going to pitch. I want the rest. So you don't make him an all-star. I get it. He could have said, yes, I'll start, or yes, I'll be available. Like the All-Star game is the All-Star game, right? Like you want players to play in the All-Star game. Pitches are different, man. Pitches are different, especially a guy that last year ran out of gas, especially a guy that started the season, had the back issue, missed a number of starts to start the season. Like if he's an All-Star, he's an All-Star. Make him an All-Star. Let him get announced. Any bonuses or incentives that are in his contract were earned, so he should be paid. And that's that. Because the reality is the Miz, which is a great story, and I love it. I can't wait to watch him if he does end up pitching in the game. It's not deserving. He's not deserving. He has 5 starts, and you're going to put him in. He's going to be an all-star over Chris Sanchez and Ranger Suarez, who are one of the top pitchers in all of baseball. Absolutely, positively nuts. And baseball could have very easily, Major League Baseball could have very easily handled this correctly. They're all stars. They were offered a spot. They're declining. Chris Sanchez can't pitch after pitching on Sunday, but instead they pull the carpet out from underneath them, don't make them all stars, and this is what you have. This portion of the program, by the way, brought to you by GLAT HAIR Restoration. GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. Ranger Suarez is 7-3 with a 1.94 ERA. His 78 strikeouts in 83 and 2/3 innings. 7-3. ERA under 2. And he's offered an all-star spot. See, that's what pisses me off. It's a deal. Hey, you want to be an all-star? Gotta pitch. Oh, you don't want to pitch? Oh, you're not an all-star. How does that make sense? God, baseball just can't get out of their own way sometimes. As we bring Tyler Zulli back in for this. Tyler, your thoughts on the whole situation?
Yeah, I was a lot more agitated about all of this a week ago, and I understand why you are, especially now in understanding that Jacob Misiorowski's been selected to the All-Star game. And it's funny when you go on Twitter, or you go on social media, everybody prefaces this by the same thing, and I did it too. I really like the kid. Kid's got electric stuff, and I think he's going to have a really, really good career. You know, strikeout rates are high, limits hard contact. He's been excellent in his first. But it's 5 starts. And that's kind of the preface to all of it is, but it's 5 starts. And I think last week I was a little more perturbed than I am now because of knowing that Sanchez backed out, knowing that Suarez backed out, knowing that the Phillies gave Sanchez a little bit of money. It's helped me, kind of move on a little bit. But my thing was, like, of the 3 guys between Sanchez, Suarez, and then Trey Turner was the other one, right?
Yeah.
Sanchez was the most egregious one to me because I understand Ranger's been dominant. But he missed time. I get it, right? He missed all of April. That tends to play a factor. Trey Turner has been excellent. He's the National League hits leader when the votes were cast. But I also know that there's a pool of really good shortstops in the National League between Francisco Lindor and Ellie De La Cruz. And I understand why those guys were also given the nod. Sanchez, to me, was the one that didn't make a whole lot of sense because, as you brought up, he was an all-star last year. And his numbers this year are better. His ERA is better. His innings pitched are greater. His strikeouts are through the roof compared to where they were a season ago. His Ks per nine are up. His walks are a little bit up from last year, but most of his numbers have gone in the right direction. So the one that did frustrate me at the time, because I don't think it needed to be replacement level. I think it needed to be an initial selection, was Cristopher Sanchez.
Agreed. Now, I 100% agree with you. Trey Turner should have been an all-star. He wasn't. Philly, normally when you're the first place team, remember how many all-stars did they have last year? It's like their whole team.
7? Yeah. Strom got selected. Hoffman got selected. Yeah.
Almost the entire infield were started. Bohm was a starter. Right. Trey Turner's had a much better year than I think we even see. And it does feel like that is kind of how he's viewed across baseball. Turner's, it's really, really odd. But like, okay, deserving when you look at the numbers with Turner, deserving for sure. All right, he got left off. Like you had said with Ranger, I think he's an all-star. They offered him a spot. He missed 4 or 5 starts. He missed the first month of the season. Like okay, even for a guy with 5 starts, okay. Chris Sanchez is better this year than he was last year. He's been better. And he was an all-star last year. He's been better, and he doesn't make the team, which is just you get snubbed when you're it's your first time. Like if he would have gotten snubbed last year, hey, yo, bro, you got to do it for more than 1 year to make sure that you're making the all-star team. He has now proven he ain't going anywhere. And that contract that he signed, that Dave Dombrowski signed him to, looks like an all-time bargain. He's under control for 3 or 4 more years, making no money. It's unbelievable. What a find with Chris Sanchez, man.
Yeah, the most expensive years are club option years, and they're for like $15 million. And if he's pitching this way, that's going to be the easiest option pickup in the history of the franchise. Like his contract right now is 4 years for 23 or something like 25. And then the back end 2 years, I think, are 15 and 15. So
so it's 14 and 15 in 2029 and 2030.
So even if they pick both of them up, which I suspect they probably will if he pitches even at a sliver of what he's doing now, you're talking about a 6-year deal worth $50-some-odd million for what could be a top-of-the-line rotation guy for a lot of teams. He just happens to be a 2 or a 3 because the Phillies have a plethora of starting.
Man, and this is how you can balance the payroll of your club with good contracts like this. So anyway, this dude, and you know what? I thought about this. They can't hold out, but like if this was in football where there's no guaranteed contracts, guess what he'd be doing?
Oh, he wouldn't be showing up to spring training. I'll see you in April.
He's outperformed. Man, is he outperformed the contract? But like, who cares? So it's just, and that's what pisses me off. And so he's making $2 million this year. $2 million is a lot of money. I would love to make $2 million, right? Agents, taxes, all the other stuff. All I'm saying is I'm sure he'd like to have that $200,000 as a bonus,
sure,
which he deserves, and he was offered. That's the other thing. How can you offer an all-star spot and then take it away because they say, no, I can't pitch? This isn't a second baseman that just says, nah, I'd rather spend time with my family. This is a pitcher that literally can't throw. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. All right, well, more Phillies conversation coming up because we have a situation in the Phillies draft room as the first 3 rounds of the draft was last night. And like NFL draft is bigger than some sports. NFL free agency and the NFL draft, I pay attention to more than the NBA and certainly more than hockey or soccer. But it's a big, big deal. NBA draft, pretty big deal. Hockey was really cool this year. Major League Baseball draft's always a little bit different because you're dealing with high school kids. You're dealing with college baseball players that, I think there's been more viewers and more attention paid to the College World Series. But what I'm trying to say is that the Major League Baseball draft, it doesn't get the same type of coverage or attention that some of the other sports do, right? But Phillies made some draft picks last night. And man, you want some sizzle with your steak? Phillies made a pick in the first round last night. We're going to talk about it after this. It's very exciting. Philly with John Marks. PHLY. Back right after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, listen. Art of Words. Artofwords.com. That's the website. You can use code PHLY for 15% off. Artofwords.com. You can see it right there. All right, check it out. So, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and this is a local Philly artist that's proven it. Each piece is made entirely from handwritten words, like every eagle forming the link, every Philly shaping Citizens Bank Park, and it's not just sports, it's Philly, everybody. Boathouse Row, Reading Terminal, the Philly skyline, and the Jersey Shore, and more. And these are unforgettable gifts for sports fans or people that just love Philadelphia, all occasions, right? So my daughter's birthday was yesterday. My other daughter's birthday was last week. Birthdays, anniversaries, when Mother's Day and Father's Day come up, Christmas, all occasions for your fans. So he started selling art in the K lot and at Rice's Flea Market, and he credits Philly fans for launching his career. Available for dozens of teams and cities. And conversation starters, if you have a basement, a finished basement like I do, this is what I'm talking about. For your office, unbelievable stuff. He's been featured on Today, ESPN, and more. Check it out, artofwords.com. Use code PHLY for 15% off your purchase. Artofwords.com. Well, all right, listen. We got BetParx and we got the BetParx app and online casino. Just not the app, right? Online casino as well. So, like you say, like, whoa, well, you know what's going on? There's no baseball, home run derby, All Star game. You know what I'm checking out? And we'll have a parlay of the day coming up later. So, how about some summer league pro basketball? Oh yeah, they're in Vegas. You see Cooper Flag the other night. Now they shut him down, but he went off for 31. Dylan Harper, not as successful in that same game. Maybe he bounces back. There's a lot to do on the BetParx app. Bet sports, live bet, All-Star game coming up here. Also, what about the online casino? Live dealer, blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, hot online slots, and much more. And new users right now get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You love to play? You play to win. BetParx. Go to betparx.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hooah, we are back. Philly on a Monday morning as I am back from vacation. Third block of the program. Stay tuned. We'll go over my Ocean City vacation, including AJB, who I saw in Playland as I was I waiting by the helicopters when I saw him? No, I might have been, I forget exactly where I was, but yes. So we'll go over some rides and everything else from Ocean City coming up here. All right. So the draft was last night, and listen, I'm not telling you that we talk a lot of minor league baseball, that you're ever going to see me talk a lot of minor league baseball, but I pay attention to the Phillies minor league system a great deal. I look at it's a bookmark on my phone every morning, or even sometimes when I go to the bathroom at 2:00 in the morning, I'll check out the minor league baseball scores. I wonder why my wife loves me so much. I'm looking at minor league baseball scores. That's like the thrill of my life to do that. But I pay attention, and I love to see who the Phillies draft. I go through the mock drafts, and not that I know a lot about the players that are drafted at the top of the drafts, and the baseball draft is it's kind of weird. It's a little bit different. This year there wasn't a consensus number one pick, and there were a bunch of surprises at the top of the draft. But anyway, Phillies weren't selecting till pick 26, and normally at 26, you're getting a talented player. But with a guy like Aiden Miller, who, if he would have been healthy his final year in high school, he probably would have went higher, but he wasn't, and he slid a little bit because he had a thumb or a wrist injury, I forget. But anyway, so if you're an organization that drafts well, you can get good players, first round, second round, third round. So top 3 rounds last night, And with their pick, the Phillies drafted, and you probably know him, or the only time I ever heard of him was after he had a no-hitter in the College World Series, the third of all time, and he struck out 19 pitchers. His name is Gage Wood, and he is not also an adult actor. He is a right-handed flamethrower from the University of Arkansas. He struck out 19 and threw a no-hitter in the College Baseball World Series. Now, some people were asking, well, if he doesn't throw that no-hitter, where does he get drafted? I mean, I think we'd be naive to think that he that his profile wasn't a lot different after throwing that no-hitter. So here he is after the game. He would have had a perfect game, except he hit a batter. So here is this maniac after the game being interviewed. And, they're asking him, they're like, oh my God, let's just watch. This is crazy.
You just threw the third no-hitter in the history of this event. How do you describe your emotions?
I shouldn't have hit the guy. That's it. That's all I got to say.
So immediately they make the pick, right? So not to get too in the weeds here. As of right now, he's got a power curve and he's got a power fastball. And it's not just velocity. Because you can look at velocity on guys that throw four-seam fastballs and be like, all right, you can throw 100 miles an hour, but if it's straight, you're going to give up a lot of home runs. This guy, he throws with high velocity, but it also gets on you fast. And when you look at metrics and you look at the metrics that scouts now evaluate, it's not just the velocity on the ball, it's how that ball gets on the hitter. And Tyler can probably help me out a little bit with this as well. But is it head going down? Is it going up? Like the fastball, if it's just straight down the middle of the plate, that's not necessarily good if you're throwing that 99 miles an hour. He has life on his fastball. He's got a power curve, but he's a 2-pitch pitcher at this point. And you can still develop that third pitch. So when they drafted him last night, immediately my thought was, oh, they're putting him in the bullpen this year. He's a college pitcher. He just pitched his junior year. He's a college pitcher. He goes into the bullpen this year because they need help in the bullpen. After they drafted him, the Phillies didn't seem to think you don't seem to think after they spoke about him that they're going to put him in the bullpen this year. They look at him as a starter. I thought maybe that they would bring him in this year as a closer or as a back of the inning bullpen guy. And then next year, okay, like we go to spring training, we're going to make him a starter. It doesn't feel like they're going to do that. The biggest knock on this guy is he has not been able to stay healthy. He's had a limited amount of starts as a starter. He's a converted reliever. And when you look at his numbers, they're really not all that great. I could pull them up right now, but you're talking about ERAs in the 4s and things like that. But this year in particular was a breakout year, low walk rate, high strikeout rate. Tons of swings and misses. He misses the bat. He really, really does. And you look at the mentality. All right. He looks like a closer, right? But they're going to use him as a starter. A starting pitcher that is that much more. It's more valuable. It just is. But they also have a ton of starting pitching right now in their system. So I'm not really sure. But anyway, Gage Wood, if you haven't checked him out and you haven't seen a lot of it, definitely check it out. So second round, they went with Cabe Obermueller. He's a lefty. And from what I was reading about him, he's almost like a not a sidearm, but I guess he's like almost like a sidearm, but he's not. Good velocity. He's only 5'10". I think he's listed at 6 foot, but he's really only 5'10". He's like 5'10", 160. But has good velocity. And then Cody Bowker. He looks like a Vandy reliever. I don't know if he was a starter or whatever. But so that's the story on him. They go college pitcher, college pitcher, college pitcher. Do they do it in mind of, hey, let's get these guys to the majors quick and they're projectable as relievers? Maybe. But it doesn't seem like they're doing that with Gage Wood. As the Phillies they've had a really nice run here on their first round draft picks. And they've went with a lot of high school players in recent years. So first 3, I don't know if this is how the draft board worked out or whatever, Tyler. But Yeah, but it's notable to me that they went college pitchers 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I certainly think that there's a reason behind that. Now, last year, I think all of their first 5 selections, I want to say, were all positional players, and so this year they went three pitchers in a row. But you're right, they have gone pretty high school heavy especially in the first round. Their last first round selection that was a college player, I believe, was Bryson Stott, because Aiden Miller ended up not going. Andrew Painter, Mick Abel,
High school, yep.
Dante Nori, all these
Crawford
guys
high school
have all been high school players. So they deviated from a couple of paths yesterday by going a lot of arm heavy and by going with the college pitchers. I think in this instance, I was a big proponent of Caden Bodine. I think the Phillies need catching depth. He ended up going about 6 or 7 picks later. I think he went to Baltimore, maybe 32-ish. I just think the Phillies catching depth is really thin right now. I wasn't expecting him to be available. He was there. They ended up going with the arm instead. And I think there is a little bit of validity to what you said with they drafted a power arm in the first round. They drafted 3 college pitchers. And I think the reason behind it is they would like to, if possible, fast track some of these kids to higher levels. I'm not saying to the major leagues, but potentially to like a AA, by the end of the year or early next season. Like, I think there is validity to them wanting to fast track some of these guys because their bullpen is not good. And there's not an immediate answer to those questions in the bullpen.
Yeah, and as we learn now, bullpen arms are pricey, even just for 7th or 8th inning guys. And these guys won't make a lot of money right off the bat, and it'll be years before they can become free agents. So, yeah, I mean, I maybe, and I get if they're not going to put Gage Wood in the bullpen, he's not going to be with them this year. But and these other guys, I would doubt make it this year. But like you said, if they're impressive and we're in June next year and these guys are now AAA and they're getting outs and they're pitching well, you could very easily see them in the majors next year.
Yeah,
Gage Wood,
this isn't like a Brandon Finnegan scenario. I don't know if you remember, Brandon Finnegan was pitching in the College World Series in June and then was pitching in the Royals bullpen in September and like getting some high quality outs. I don't think that you're going to get that type of scenario. That was a once in a lifetime feel where they trusted a kid enough to skyrocket him through not just through the ranks, but to pitch, heading into the postseason. Nolan Shanawell was with the Angels, was moved up pretty quickly through their organization, but he's a first baseman. And their thing with him was he's a high contact guy, doesn't strike out a lot. Does the power develop? Maybe, maybe not, but they trusted him enough at the major league level with the bat coming out of Virginia. They were cool with it. I don't see that type of scenario, but I do think there is a plausible case that, if they really, really like these guys and they're progressing well, you could see them back end of next year, early 2027, if they progress well. I think that's why they probably went in that direction.
Gage Wood started 10 games this season. He had a shoulder injury. And my initial reaction is unbelievable stuff. He sells at the box office. This dude's screaming and yelling. But also, you got power stuff and you throw the curveball is a power curveball. I love it. But
if he's going to be a starter, he needs another pitch.
Absolutely, positively. Yeah. No, even if it's just for show, he needs something. And they'll work on him. He's still a young pitcher. You worry about the injury stuff because he has been injury plagued.
Sure.
And he had an injured shoulder this year. So they brought him back. He had 10 starts strictly as a starter. He only had started 3 games the previous year in 22 appearances. So he started 3 games last year. This past year, 10 starts, 37 2/3, had 69 strikeouts and 7 walks. And that's against good competition too. So he's got 69 strikeouts. That's almost 2 an inning, which is that's like Billy Wagner type numbers.
Right.
That's Brad Lidge when Brad Lidge had the slider that no one could hit. That's Brad. To average nearly 2 strikeouts an inning is pretty crazy. If you get 1 strikeout per inning, you're like, all right, this guy's a strikeout guy. So like the stuff's there. I mean, I don't know how you'll try to use him this year, Tyler, unless you're worried about the injury stuff, which they very well might be, that they put him out there and he throws his shoulder out trying to throw it 110 miles an hour in a September game. So maybe that plays into it.
Yeah, I mean, the two guys that the first, and listen, it's college numbers, right? If you're getting drafted in the first 2 rounds, the likelihood is you are able to strike out a lot of hitters at a high rate. But the first 2 guys that they drafted between Wood and Obermueller struck out about 185 in less than 150 innings combined. Like, those 2 guys do have strikeout stuff. And you brought up Obermueller, like sidewinders, probably the good way to describe him. He pitches all the way to the left side of the rubber as a lefty. He has some like weird body contortion. He looks like he hides the ball well. Throws, okay hard. And nowadays 94 is not hard anymore. But throws about 92 to 94. He's kind of been a 2-pitch pitcher as well. I think he'll probably develop a third as a lefty as well. But they drafted 2 guys who have a lot of success in the strikeout department in the first 2 rounds, at least at the college level.
Yeah. All right. Well, very exciting, and I'll be curious to see if Gage Wood, if they extend his season here and ends up pitching or whatever. But this is a very exciting pick, and the fact that he was there, because most evaluators had him ranked. I think Baseball America had him 16 or ESPN had him 16, and it's a crapshoot. Like I said, not to get in the weeds too much, but you'll get players that aren't thought of to be the top pick because you can pay them less money, and then you can go over slot for maybe a 2nd-round draft pick because these guys use college scholarships as leverage. So they say, okay, well, you're slotted to make, let's say, $1 million bonus here, but we'll give you $3 million if you don't go to high school because otherwise you would have been a 1st-round draft pick. So that's not the case with Gage Wood, which is just a Gage Wood is 6 foot, 205 pounds. He turns 22 in December, so still young, and he's from Arkansas. Go figure, from Batesville, Arkansas. And he was unhappy after he threw a no-hitter because he hit that guy. Real competitor. But again, when you look at what he did, and even this year as a starter, like the ERA, they're using aluminum bats, so you got to understand that it's a different game. But even this year in his ERA 3.82, and last year he had a relatively high ERA for being a reliever, and the strikeout numbers weren't as big as they were this year as a starter. So you wonder if he was a reliever. I don't know, but he only has the 2 pitches. So more draft picks today. And so I don't know how much we'll be talking about the 4th-round draft pick tomorrow. But let's just when you're looking at the Phillies and kind of looking into the future here, the window is open right now. And I think when the window's open right now, like when the Phillies selected Aaron Nola in the 1st round, college pitcher LSU, I remember in the draft process, it was Phillies desperately need a starter now. And they're probably going to go with a guy that's ready to come up. Kyle Freeland, who ended up going to the Rockies, was in that same draft, and Nola was thought to be more ready to pitch in the majors, and he did. He spent very little time in the minors. I think he finished that year, and then he started the next year at the minors, and he was up with the big club before the end of the year. So Gage Wood is thought to be along the same lines. Not a lot of development in the minors, and it worked out very well for Aaron Nola despite where he is right now.
Well, and I think too, like you brought up, how much are we going to talk about a 4th-round pick? I think with baseball specifically, if you don't have a top 2 or 3 selection, a top 5 selection, maybe, you're kind of thinking about how can this guy help the club in 2028, right? And even the teams in the top 5, right? Like the big storyline outside of Willett's going number 1 overall, the big storyline was Ethan Holiday being selected by the Rockies. And, Ethan Holiday can play. I think there's all indications tell you that he can. But the bigger storyline amongst that is like, wow, he's going to the team that his dad played for and his dad was a star for.
Right.
That's kind of the whole thing about Major League Baseball draft. You're either taking 18-year-old kids who were playing against other 18-year-old kids, 2 weeks ago, or you're taking college players who are a little bit older, a little bit more mature as players, but they're also playing against or using aluminum bats. So, totally different conversation, but I've been a big proponent of college should play with wood bats, and I think it's silly.
Of course.
But I think it does become, I've said to you plenty of times, if you get an everyday player or you get a fifth starter or a middle reliever, like anything after that is a bonus because you use the word crapshoot. It is such a crapshoot because the draft is an imperfect science as it is. And now you're talking about either selecting a kid who was playing against somebody who was in algebra class, yesterday, or, other, closer to adults, but also playing with a metal bat in their hand. So
yeah, the projecting a high school kid, especially pitchers, like what was his name? Jason Groom, the Barnegat, New Jersey kid, who a lot of people, the pitcher, a lot of people thought he was going to be the first overall pick. He was throwing no hitters and stuff. He hasn't sniffed being anywhere close to making the major leagues, and that happens when you look at high school pitchers in the first round of the draft. It is Phillies typically. Now it's worked out for them. It has, but like teams typically would much rather have the college pitcher than the high school pitcher. Cause you're also, 5 years away, 4 years away or something like that. You're drafting a kid in a lot of these cases.
Yeah. It's not like in the NBA, if you have the number one pick in the draft, the number one pick is expected to play, especially if you're bad, right? Like, and I'm not saying play like LeBron because he's a unicorn. It's an entirely different scenario. But if you're the number one pick, you're expected to contribute to your NBA rotation. If you're the number one pick in the NFL, especially at certain positions, whether it be at the quarterback position or wide receiver position, skill position players, like you're expected to be a contributor pretty much from day one in the first round. Major League Baseball, it's like, if this guy's here in 2 years, that's an objective win.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. Absolutely. But the Phillies have had plenty of first round draft picks that didn't come close to getting to the majors.
Larry
All right, we'll come back. Oh, dude, like Gillick had a really bad run. He was taking high school players with high ceilings that like when you say not even close, like didn't even make AA, or if they made AA, they struggled big time. So yeah, like the fact that Mick Abel has made the majors and looks like he has a future, it's like honestly that's a win because he's already been in the majors. All right, coming up, our BetParx Parlay of the day. And also my review of Ocean City, New Jersey, 2025. And I have some thoughts on rides as well. All right. Philly with John Marks, PHLY. Back after this. 2 and 2. All right. Listen, GLAT hair restoration. Look at my hair. It looks great. I was actually trying to fix it on camera earlier because it's sticking up a little bit here on that. But anyway, so if you've been on social media and you see a lot of ads for hair restoration and you see these guys that are like, oh yeah, I went to Turkey to get hair restoration. It's like, oh, yeah, you save so much money. Okay. All right. You're going to Turkey to get hair restoration. And are you really saving that much money? Airfare, hotel. You're in Turkey, right? Like this is almost like the Brazilian butt lifts. Remember that one person was in a hotel room by the airport putting antifreeze in some of these women's butts. Yeah, listen, all I'm saying is that stay in America. You want hair restoration? Stay in America and go to the best in the business. It's GLAT hair restoration because and I talk about being a procedure, right? It's a procedure. This is surgery, right? We know what that means, that you need experts that are doing it, right? GLAT Hair by Morgenstern Medical, board certified surgeons with over 30 years of experience. So they're following strict U.S. safety standards. You're getting results that last. Follow-up care. I go in every year for a follow-up. They take pictures. We look at what's going on. Unless you want to fly to Turkey every year, Turkey, you're not getting that, right? Here's the best part. You can text them a photo of your hair right now. The hair team will take a look and know, here are your options. Here's what makes sense for you. So skip the travel, skip the risk, get real care from a trusted local team. GLAT Hair Restoration, 610-980-4000. You can text their photo, or you can call 610-980-4000 or GLATHairMM.com. GLATHairMM.com. GLAT Hair by Morgenstern Medical. Let's get the hairline back in the game. All right, Empire Today, new flooring. If you need it, not a better time than right now. All right, you want to save $350 off your new floor? Just go to empiretoday.com/PHLY. The code is PHLY. That'll save you $350. But John, why should I go to Empire today? That's a great discount. Why should I? Flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals. So maybe you say, hey, well, I was going to go to one of the big box stores because I heard they're running some type of sale. All right. So now you go, you have your questions answered. Is Lou in plumbing having to come over and answer your question because you can't find anybody who's working, right? And then you got to haul it away. Then you got to find a contract to put it in. Empire Today takes care of all of that for you, and they bring the showroom to your home so you can see what your new flooring is going to look like in your space. With your lighting, with your walls. The color of your walls makes a difference on what the flooring is going to look like. With your furniture, you don't have to leave your home. They take precise measurements. You get all of your questions answered with clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. There's no questions that won't go unanswered. There's nothing at all. You know what's happening. And here's the other thing. From the first time you contact them until after your floors are in, you're very happy. They're with you the entire way. So anything that you need, bam, they're right there. Once you buy something from the big box store, good luck. All right? And don't go to anybody else. Convenience, man, they're right there. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. You can also schedule installation as soon as the next day. Free in-home estimate. That's all they do. That's all they do. They're not going to a plumbing store afterwards. Experts. Just like Tyler and I are experts at baseball and minor league baseball. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. Hooah. There we go. Take a sip off my coffee here. Well, you know what? Let's do our BetParx Parlay of the day, and then we'll do some short talk. It's time for our BetParx Parlay of the day. Tyler, how have you been doing in your picks?
So I was only 1-2 last week. Not a great week for me. Bill took the reins on Thursday and Friday and crushed it.
Really?
So a really, really good week for Bill. Just a 1-2 week for me last week from between Monday and Wednesday.
Okay. All right. So what do you have in mind for tonight?
Is anything playing? So I was going to go to the home run derby. However, I wasn't sure if you were going to take the home run derby or not. So if you are, I will leave that to you.
No. Go for it. I was not.
All right. Well, then I am going to go I think this is such a crapshoot. Again, we use that word quite a bit today, but like you're picking of a skills competition. I am just going to go with the guy that I have been super high on all year. I think he's got enormous power, and I think if he shows up, he's going to show up in big bunches. At plus 500 to win the home run derby tonight, I am going to take James Wood of the Washington Nationals. You know how high you know I love that kid. He just insane power. I just think, and two, there was this thread. Jared Smith, who does like gambling stuff on Twitter, broke down the pitchers who are going to throw for the hitters. And Wood is being thrown to by the Nationals third base coach, who is also their BP coach. So their BP thrower. So it's a guy who Wood has seen quite a bit. It's not like it's his dad or his buddy or something. I'm going to go James Wood to win the home run derby tonight at plus 500 because the other option was to take soccer teams from the Faroe Islands and Gibraltar, and I really don't want to do that. So I'm going to take James Wood to win the home run derby.
It was my pick. I knew you were going to pick it too, because to your point, remember when maybe you don't remember, Bobby Abreu won the home run derby one year, and I think he might have been on some extra vitamins that year, but like it's all about your pitcher. It's all about your pitcher, because if he can get it into your sweet spot and he's grooving, and a left-handed bat like Wood, all you need is that perfect groove, and he'll hit the ball 500 feet every time. It almost looks too easy to take him with those odds.
He's third best odds, and I know why there's a couple guys ahead of him, but I just think it's one of those situations where he is either it's going to be his first home run derby and he's going to be a little overwhelmed and he'll hit like 4, or he's going to hit 40.
I agree with you. Yep. I think he's going to hit 40. I would actually, it's the same thing that I would do. Absolutely. But see, you could go summer league if you wanted to there,
sure.
Tyler Zuley. I'm going to go with, hold on. I just lost what I had here.
Sixers to lose by 40 again tonight.
So I don't think they're playing tonight. They're not.
They're not.
No, but I'm going to take the San Antonio Spurs minus 4.5. Why? I have no idea. I'm going to take the Spurs minus 4.5. Sometimes I'm good when it doesn't need to make sense. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
you had a couple of picks in college basketball towards the tournament time where you're like, I like this team's name. I'm betting them, and they hit. So
no, it was Loyola Chicago. It was Loyola Chicago, which sounds tough against some, like Murray State or something. And I was like, there's no way that Loyola Chicago's losing to Murray State. And I was right. And I was on a roll with those type of bets. So sometimes that's just the way to go. All right, that's our BetParx parlay of the day. All right, I'm back from Ocean City, 1 week in Ocean City. The 3 young children, having to pack everything, having to have a wife who's packing everything, having to load the car, having to drive down and then unpack and then go to the grocery store and then go to Target and then, have a great week and then pack everything back up, come back home. So upstairs right now, my bedroom, because it was also my daughter's birthday yesterday. So we really haven't had a chance to even unpack just yet. But a couple of observations from my trip. First of all you Jerseyites out there, I feel bad for you. You know what I did this year, Tyler? I thought I was going to outsmart everybody. I said, you know what? Like, rather than go to the grocery store at 3:00 on a Saturday, like every other person that goes to the shore, I'll need to go to the grocery store because you can't buy everything at Target, or I don't like to buy everything at Target, like fresh meats and things like that, produce, etc. So I'm going to order everything else from Target. Like 80% of my order, I'm going to order from Target before I even drive down. So it's ready. So drop everybody off, go to Target, orders ready for pickup, boom, open up the trunk. You know what they do? Because it's New Jersey. And I don't even know if there's an option. So some people were telling me there's an option for it because they don't give bags. They brought out like $400 worth of items with no bags and loaded it into the back of my minivan and the trunk individually with no bags. I'm talking about yogurts, like individual yogurts, like blocks of cheese and everything else. And it's like, hang on a second. Like, I get that you don't want to have plastic bags and it's better for the environment or whatever. Like, fine, I don't care, whatever. But don't you have to like bag it if you're going? You can't bring $400 worth of stuff out and just throw it in my car.
Well, don't they have like the cardboard pallets that things come in? Like they're the shipping pallets that, you know what I mean? And not the ones you push, but like the cardboard boxes that are underneath. You know what I mean? You could condense that to a couple of boxes. Because, like, you spend you're down there for a week. I imagine you spent a lot of money and had a lot of items.
A lot of items.
That seems kind of, and you're right. I get it. Right, better for the environment. No plastic bags. Totally fine with it. But whatever. And the places that say, hey, bring your own bag. Like, we shop at Aldi. Aldi has the bring your own bag policy. You bring your big tote bag and you bring it out. No big deal. But if you're doing pickup, that's kind of strange because you're not getting out of your car.
I go to Wegmans. They don't do the plastic bag. And if you don't bring your own bag, which sometimes you forget, you have to pay 5 cents a bag for paper bags.
Sure.
And it's amazing how many times I hear people bitch where it's like, no, I'll just put everything in my cart. Like, dude, it's 5 cents. Just buy the freaking bag. But like, what? Like, you can't put stuff in paper bags? It was the biggest pain in the ass because now I got to go up and I got to search for bags. So anyway, that was my first experience of Ocean City was Target in New Jersey. Not even. Someone had told me that like you have to actually request bags in the pickup. So I didn't know that. But anyway, so that was that. Other than that, man, we got great beach weather. It was only 1 day of rain. I don't know if I look tan than what I normally do, but my tan is faded. Like pretty much I lose
48 hours later.
Yeah, my wife is very, very dark because she has great skin. But yeah, like, so I got a nice tan. My kids are at an age where they my 2 older kids love being at the beach. So we were boogie boarding. We were doing everything. It was awesome. It really was. The one thing I've noticed now that I'm older is my tolerance for doing the rides. Not that I don't my kids love going on rides.
Sure.
My oldest daughter will do every single ride. I can't even go in the Total World with almost throwing up.
Really?
Dude, I went up like last year. I went on the pirate ship with them.
Yeah.
And I was fine. I don't mind drops. I don't like to spin.
Okay.
I went on the pirate ship and I thought I was going to throw up, and I felt sick for the rest of the time. So my tolerance for rides is at an all-time low.
Were you a rides guy? Were you a thrill seeker type guy?
Yeah.
That's got to be frustrating because I'm the same way. I love coasters. I love rides. I very much look forward to 8 years from now when the baby's old enough to go on rides himself, and we'll go on them together. But yeah, that's got to be unfortunate because it's something I really enjoy doing. Like I still like going to theme parks.
Yeah, I went on the swings, but whenever I'm on the swings, the whole time all I can think is, oh my God. All it takes is I'm like looking up at the bolt. It's like all it takes is one faulty bolt, and I'm gonna go about 50 yards in the air, and it's over.
Your very final destination on the swings.
Yeah, and I'm on with my daughter, so it's like it's one thing for me, but then I start. That's why I won't go on the Ferris wheel anymore, because I literally had an anxiety attack at the top of the Ferris wheel looking at the bolts.
You and I agree on the Ferris wheel. Like I said, I will go on any roller coaster in the world, but there's something about the Ferris wheel, maybe the speed, maybe the lack of, I don't know, lap bar or over the shoulder harness.
Yes, it does not seem
whatever it is, and then you inevitably get stopped at the top to let somebody off. Nope.
That's when I lose it. Honestly, roller coasters, I'm good with roller coasters. Roller coasters, for whatever reason, I don't get sick. Because I think it moves fast enough to where then it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't do the loop roller coaster just because I was like, nah, I don't need to do that. I'm not going to take the kids on it. But yeah, so like all in all, it was did the log flume. I put a picture out on Instagram. But yeah, like dude, I went skydiving before. So it's like it's not like that, and it's just in recent years I went on the Total World Dutch Wonderland, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do the Total World anymore. I got off and I had to go sit down. I thought I was going to throw up.
Life comes at you fast, John.
When you're a kid, you think the Total World's like cool, but kind of kid. You know what I mean? Like it's not you want to go like salt and pepper shakers, like loop-de-loop roller coaster. Now the Total World scares me when I look at it. I don't know. Life comes at you fast. It does. If you're watching on TV, slide on over to allphly.com because we're officially in overtime. What else did I have from the Shore week? Other than it was I love the Shore. So I'm Ocean City, New Jersey. I saw AJB, one of our regular contributors and viewers, every morning at Playland, because Ocean City, they closed Wonderland shut down, so now there's only one theme park, and they made upgrades to it, but still it was packed before when you would go. Now forget about it. You go on a Friday night because there's only one. But anyway, we're back tomorrow. So Tyler, once again, you have a video today, 1 p.m. Yep. And then you're live at 7 o'clock. Because it is, we're in, what's it? I'm sorry. It's not in the
rank week. Corner again. Yep. It's rank week.
Very good.
Yep. So we'll be on at 7. Yeah. 1 o'clock today. We're going to take a preview of the first half of the starting pitching. That video shouldn't take very long, John. Everybody's going to get some pretty high water marks in the Phillies rotation, with the exception of probably Aaron Nola. But yeah, 1 o'clock, we'll talk about the starting rotation, first half grades. And then at 7, we will be live for the rank week top 10. We'll start at 10. We'll do it very list-like. And then number 1 will be previewed or debuted at probably 7:55. So you got to hang around. A little bit of a, what do we used to call that in radio? That's a little bit of a tease. Yes.
The major league tease. All right. And if you can't watch it live at 7 o'clock, obviously, just like all of our programming, anytime on YouTube. And you can listen to Philly with John Marks wherever you find your podcast. Audio only podcast is available. Just make sure you're doing. Just make sure you're liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. 5-star reviews on the audio podcast would be greatly appreciated. We appreciate you. Anthony is live right now. Slide on over to him. We're back tomorrow morning live at 8 a.m. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.